It's Wednesday, December 16th, and this is your coffee break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski, bringing you today's headlines. Rob Adams is back in studio with sports and weather. Donald Lang, of course, joins us to take a look back on this day in history, and we'll also be talking transportation with Jim Cameron today. But first, a woman and child were struck by a car yesterday evening in downtown Shelton. Around 5 o'clock, Shelton police received numerous 911 calls reporting that two pedestrians had been struck by a vehicle in the area of Coram Avenue and Hill Street. Shelton police and EMS responded to the scene where an adult female, age 46, and a young female, age 10, both from Shelton, were transported to Yale New Haven Hospital for injuries they both received as a result of the accident. Officers have spoken to the female driver of the vehicle, who is 66 and from Seymour. The Shelton Police Department Traffic Division is currently investigating the incident. Anyone that may have witnessed it is requested to contact the police department at 203-924-1544, extension 4417. And in some Milford news, Christopher Plaskin, who is accused of stabbing fellow high school student Marin Sanchez to death in Milford last April, said he heard voices and that's the reason he stabbed Marin. According to court documents, a friend told police that Plaskin had implied he wanted to hurt Marin because he wanted to be more than just friends with her and he wanted to take her to the prom, but she was seeing somebody else. According to the friend, Plaskin said he, quote, wouldn't mind if Marin was dead or hit by a bus. Plaskin appeared in court Tuesday, and his case has been continued to January 28th, where lawyers on both sides are expected to discuss psychiatric reports and other evidence in the case. Judge Frankie Anati said the case will go to trial in the next few months unless both sides come to a plea agreement. Plaskin has pled not guilty to a charge of murder in the stabbing death of Marin Sanchez, which happened April 25th, 2014, in a stairwell at Jonathan Law High School. The murder took place on the day of the junior prom. Plaskin's lawyers have said his plea would be based on one of three forms of insanity. In court documents released Tuesday, Plaskin's parents told police their son had a significant history dealing with mental health issues as a child. He was treated on and off for several years, the documents state. Plaskin's parents also said their son had mood swings and possibly depression several months preceding the murder. And for more on that story, visit milfordmirror.com. A former bookkeeper of a Darien veterans charity pled guilty to fraud and tax evasion in Hartford on Tuesday. 54-year-old Cynthia Tanner of Darien pleaded guilty in Hartford federal court to fraud and tax evasion offenses stemming from her embezzlement of about $800,000 from a Darien-based veteran services organization. Phil Kraft, who's head of the National Veterans Services Fund, said Tuesday that justice has been served. He told the Darien Times that it should be noted that at an average of $600 per veteran, they could have helped nearly 1.5 million veterans for the $800,000 that was taken. According to court documents and statements made in court, Tanner was employed as a bookkeeper for the National Veterans Service Fund located in Darien. Tanner also did bookkeeping work for the Darien VFW, but no charges were filed in relation to that work. The stated mission of the fund was to provide case-managed social services and limited medical assistance to Vietnam and Persian Gulf War veterans and their families, with a focus on families with disabled children. From about January 2009 through June 2014, Tanner used nearly $800 in funds to pay various personal expenses for her and her family members. She also altered records to conceal her scheme and by falsely claiming that the stolen monies were being paid to veterans in need. Tanner pleaded guilty to one count of wire fraud, which carries a maximum term in prison of 20 years, and one count of tax evasion, which carries a maximum term of prison in 5 years. She's scheduled to be sentenced by U.S. District Judge Janet Bondarerton on March 11th. Funeral services have been scheduled for State Representative Terry Backer. The 61-year-old Backer was a career Long Island Sound fisherman and veteran state lawmaker who won national renown as the state's first and only soundkeeper. He died Tuesday morning in Bridgeport Hospital. The son of a fisherman, the late Henry J. Backer, Terry was the former chairman of the Legislative Environment Committee as well as the Energy and Technology Committee. He led the Soundkeeper Fund for 27 years, joining with fellow activists including Robert F. Kennedy Jr., senior attorney and president of the board of Waterkeeper Alliance, a nonprofit focused on grassroots efforts to protect and enhance waterways around the world. Friends are invited to greet the family on Thursday, December 17th from 4 to 8 p.m. in Norwalk's Hoyt Cognetta Funeral Home and Crematory. That's located at 5 East Wall Street. A massive Christian burial will be celebrated on Friday at 10 a.m. at St. Matthew's Church in Norwalk. A February trip to Paris put on by Joe Barlow High School's French department will go on as planned. That was decided by the Region 9 Board of Education on Tuesday evening. The decision runs contrary to the opinion of School Superintendent Dr. Tom McMorran, who suggested the board cancel the trip. The board came to the ultimate agreement that because parents remain in favor of the trip, it should not be canceled. Two board members, Kathy Gumbos and Walter King, spoke negatively of keeping the Paris trip on Barlow's calendar due to concerns about terrorism. Dr. McMorran agreed, saying he was in favor of a prudent decision in the situation. However, board member Mark Lewis disagreed with the naysayers. He said he believes the school cannot submit to fear in canceling the trip. And a Darien resident woke up to the alarm of his new Ford F-150 during the early morning hours of December 13th, noticing an unknown person inside the car. The man immediately called police, who arrived at his Post Road home at about 3:30 in the morning. The suspect was still in the vehicle when officers responded to the scene and was observed getting in and out of the Ford's driver's seat multiple times. Police approached the man, who was wearing a hooded sweatshirt with the hood over his head, without being noticed, watching as he searched for something under the dashboard. When he eventually recognized the presence of police, the suspect allegedly said, "I'm not trying to steal this truck, I'm just trying to get home." Police identified the man as 31-year-old Andrew Wood of Newtown. He allegedly told police that the truck belonged to his boss and he planned on driving it home. The resident, however, denied knowing Wood in any capacity. A Subaru Forester belonging to Wood was found in the driveway with what police described as fresh front-end damage. The front right tire of Wood's car was flat and damaged as well. Wood allegedly told police that he did not recall damaging the vehicle and later said he did not know how or why he had ended up at the Post Road home. Officers at the scene detected the odor of alcohol coming from Wood and reported that he appeared heavily intoxicated. Police said that Wood had apparently vomited on himself and in the Ford pickup, which had been recently purchased. The next day, the truck's owner visited Darien Police Headquarters to turn in a small bag of marijuana he had found while cleaning out his car. Wood was initially held on a $2,500 bond, but was released on a promise to appear in court on December 23rd. All right, we're going to throw it over to Rob Adams now for a look at today's weather. Rob, happy to have you back in studio.
Thank you, Kate. Good to be back in studio. The FCAC Tour has come to a close for the winter edition, and we'll be rocking some pretty cool jackets in the future, but that's a conversation for another time. If you check out Twitter, you can see what I'm talking about. Anyway, today we have a sunny day. Might not need them. It's a high near 48, a little chilly though. Northeast wind 6 to 8, but the truth is, we're supposed to be around those temperatures, if not even colder. Tonight, areas of drizzle and fog after 10, cloudy, a low around 40 with an east wind 5 to 7 miles per hour. For Thursday, areas of drizzle and fog before 8 in the morning, then rain mainly after 11 and a high near 54. With the wind out of the southeast from 5 to 8 miles per hour. Going to get a lot of rain Thursday into Thursday night. Rain likely mainly before midnight, cloudy, low 46. Calm wind becoming west 5 to 7. And that new precipitation upwards of about 3/4 to maybe an inch of rain by the time this system gets out of here, just in case you want to stand online for tickets to Star Wars, I'm just saying. Friday, a chance of rain mainly before 3 in the afternoon, mostly cloudy, high 51. Friday night, partly cloudy, low 31. Sunny and 40 for Saturday, sunny and 43 for Sunday. We'll get back to 50 next week and maybe even pushing higher as we head to Christmas Day. White Christmas, not so much. Right around the region, Darien has 49, Ridgefield has 46, and in Shelton, it's 47 degrees, Kate.
All right, thanks so much, Rob. Well, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Donald Eng is going to give us a look back on this day in history. Rob has the latest sports news, and we have a lot more headlines coming up on your coffee break after this.
Had a sports injury that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist quickly. Their highly trained orthopedic professionals expertly treat you without an appointment. Skiing, snowboard, or sports accident, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care open Monday through Saturday in the iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk. Call 203-845-2070 or coastalorthoexpress.com. Find them on Facebook at Coastal Ortho CT.
Discover the Wilburton Inn in Manchester, Vermont, a 30-acre historic estate featuring a turn-of-the-century mansion with elegant inn guest rooms and 7 large private vacation homes, perfect for ski vacations and holiday celebrations. Special offer on select rooms and houses. Stay 2 nights, get the 3rd night free through Christmas Day. CNN has called the Wilburton one of the top 8 mansion hotels in America. Call 802-362-2500 or visit wilburtoninn.com for more information.
Darien Sport Shop is a unique store because it's a family store. A busy mom can come in with kids in tow and find everything she needs for them, and even find a dress for herself for Saturday night. And if she's in a rush, she can simply go home and order it from us that night. We'll deliver it the next day. The Darien Sport Shop. We're pretty on the outside and amazing on the inside. Conveniently located with free and easy parking at 1127 Post Road, Darien, Connecticut. Or shop us online at dariensport.com.
Walter Stewart's Market in New Canaan is your local destination for the best of the holidays. Shop Stewart's for the freshest produce, certified prime rib roasts, magnolia wreaths, fresh baked pies, gingerbread houses, Christmas candies, and the season's best wine and craft brews right next door at Stewart's Spirits. Shop Walter Stewart's, 229 Elm Street in New Canaan, or shop online at stewartsmarket.com.
Hi, I'm Rob Adams with my good friend Donald Eng, and we're the home team for Nutmeg Sports, Monday through Wednesday at 2 o'clock right here on the HAN Network. We are the place for all things Connecticut sports, so come hang out with us on Nutmeg Sports. Don? They don't call him the best color man in the game for nothing. Nutmeg Sports, 2 o'clock, Monday through Wednesday, right here on the HAN Network.
You are watching the HAN Network, and you're not alone. 102,000 viewers have enjoyed the HAN Network in just the last 6 weeks. Advertise on the network that reaches Fairfield County, Connecticut's most engaged audience. Contact Jessica Murrin, Advertising Director, at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network. You are watching.
And we're back on this Wednesday, December 16th edition of your Coffee Break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski. Time to throw it over to Donald Eng for a look back on this day in history. Don?
Well, you know, Kate, I don't often feel sorry for gangsters, but sometimes they're the victims of such conspicuous cruelty I can't help myself. But in any way, first we go to 1707. Mount Fuji erupts for the last recorded time. Now, the eruption lasted into 1708. It created the current symmetry that makes the mountain the most photographed in the world. 1773, the American Revolution, Boston Tea Party. Members of the Sons of Liberty, disguised as Mohawk Indians, dump hundreds of crates of tea into Boston Harbor as a protest against the Tea Act, taxation without representation, and the East India Company's monopoly on the importing of tea. To 1938, Adolf Hitler institutes the Cross of Honor for the German mother. The Cross of Honor essentially declared that raising 4 or more German children was a heroic act, and it was modeled on a French program that actually still exists. To 1944, the Battle of the Bulge begins with a surprise offensive of 3 German armies through the Ardennes forest. Despite some early success, the battle only had the effect of delaying the Allied advance by about 6 weeks, at the cost of roughly 200,000 casualties. And finally we go to 1985, 30 years ago today.
On the night of December 16th, 1985, I took the photographs that have become some of the most iconic mob hit photographs ever taken in New York City. When I arrived at the scene, I didn't know who I was photographing. And then a friend of mine, who was the commander of Manhattan South, leaned over and whispered into my ear. He said, "Keep shooting. It's big." One of the men that was shot dead was Paul Castellano, head of the Gambino crime family. The other was his driver, Thomas Bellotti. Both of them were shot dead as they walked out of their car to go in.
That was Gambino family crime boss Paul Castellano and his driver Thomas Bellotti shot dead on the orders of John Gotti, who assumed leadership of the Gambino crime family. And, you know, if I'm ever the subject of a mob hit, can you hit me coming out of Sparks, not going into it? At least let me have one last steak fromage. I mean, that's just common decency. Anyway, with your look back in history, I am a suddenly hungry Donald Ing.
All right, Don, entertaining as always. Thanks so much. Well, getting back to a little more news today. A Monroe doctor who avoided prison time last year for his role in an extensive insurance fraud scheme was reprimanded Tuesday by the State Medical Examining Board. According to Hearst, Connecticut media, the board also decided that 60-year-old Dr. James Marshall Jr., who lives in Orange, will have his medical license placed on probation for 6 months if he renews his registration to prescribe controlled substances. He voluntarily surrendered that registration in 2011 after he was implicated in Operation Running Man, a 14-month undercover investigation of auto insurance fraud conducted by the FBI. A hearing panel of the Medical Examining Board concluded that Marshall, who operates immediate medical care in Monroe, prescribed painkillers such as Vicodin and Percocet 145 times for 75 patients when they were not his patients and he had not examined them. Marshall believed that the patients had been injured in car accidents, according to a memo. The panel found that Marshall had prescribed the painkillers between 2006 and 2010 as a favor to Francisco Carbone, who was stripped of his medical license by Connecticut officials in 2005 and then implicated in Operation Running Man. All right, we're going to switch gears now and throw it over to Rob with the latest on local sports. Rob?
All right, thank you, Kate. While we're in that kind of in-between, between the end of the fall and the beginning of the winter, there are a few games. The winter schedule really gets going in earnest next Monday, but a few games to keep us occupied on this Wednesday morning. We start in girls basketball, where the New Canaan Rams girls basketball team tipped off the winter campaign with a nail-biter. Coming up just short, low-scoring game, 25-23, a loss to the Brian McMahon Senators at New Canaan High School. Kylie Murphy had 7 points and 6 steals. Sammy Stewart had 4 rebounds, and Olivia Hunzinger had 4 assists. For the Senators, Asia Andrews led the way with 7 points, and Sahara Clark had 4 points. The Trumbull High girls basketball team raced to a 20-0 lead after one quarter when the Eagles won their season opener by a score of 53-15 over New Milford on Tuesday, that at New Milford High School. Claudia Tucci led 8 players into the scoring column with a game-high 16. Alyssa Brunig and Taylor Brown each scored 9. Now to St. Joseph, where the girls basketball team lost 41-34 to Pomperog from Southbury in the SWC FCAC Challenge that was held at Newtown High School on Tuesday night. St. Joseph will play Newtown High at 7 p.m. on Thursday, that being tomorrow. Jackie Josephic knocked down a trio of trays and finished with 17 points for St. Joseph. Shannon Healy had a 3-pointer. She finished with 7. Shannon Grabowski had 4. Switching over to girls hockey, Georgia Cassidy had a hat trick as Darien beat Greenwich 6-1. Emily Giannunzio made 15 saves in the win. Back to girls basketball, or rather, staying in girls basketball, that is. It was a little bit of an adjustment in the script. Work with me here. Shelton over Daniel Hand, 44-43. Casey O'Connor had 14 to pace the Gales. And Greens Farms Academy used a 28-17 second half run to beat the King School 53-47. Now we switch to boys basketball, and the Christian Heritage School varsity boys team was back on the road against Faith Prep on Tuesday, with the home team winning 53-51, a decision at the buzzer. Clay Westerman led the way with 30 points. Now to wrestling, Greenwich beat Brewster, New York, 39-38. The pins coming from the law firm of Ross, Cano, and Menchaca. We look now to the schedule. We have got Norwalk at East Haven at 5 in girls basketball. Darien is at Joel Barlow at 7 p.m. Girls ice hockey, Darien and Greenwich Academy get together. That's at Greenwich Academy at 3. They'll likely play that actually at the Dorothy Hamill rink. Stanford and Daniel Hand will play at 5:30, and it's New Canaan at Hamden at 7. To wrestling, Trumbull hosting New Canaan, McMahon at West Hill, Danbury at Darien. John Jay of New York is at Fairfield Ward. Of course, the John Jay Indians of Cross River, they are at Fairfield Ward. Norwalk at Staples, Wilton at Stamford, and Ludlow is at Ridgefield. Like I said, Kate, it's kind of that in-between time here this week where we kind of get back onto the climb back up onto the horse, if you will, and then everything really gets going with a hockey doubleheader for us on Monday at the Edward Bennett Rink in West Haven. So for now, with sports, I'm Rob Adams.
All right, thanks so much, Rob. Well, getting back to some more news today. A former Darien High School football coach has filed a federal civil rights lawsuit against the city of Norwalk and the Norwalk Police Department. Christian Garnett, a Stamford resident, claims that he was the victim of excessive force at the hands of 5 Norwalk police officers during an October 31st, 2013 traffic stop. Garnett's case was filed on October 30th, just short of the 2 years from the original incident. During that incident, Garnett was arrested and charged for driving while under the influence as well as assaulting an officer, but the assault charge was later dropped. Following his arrest, Garnett received treatment for a concussion, skull and orbital bone fractures, and a number of bruises across his body. He was also tased twice during the altercation. Reports from Norwalk police state that Garnett attempted to resist arrest and that the injuries were sustained as officers attempted to restrain him. However, Garnett said that he did not attempt to resist and was instead thrown to the ground and struck multiple times by the arresting officers. He filed a complaint with the Norwalk police immediately following the incident, but an internal review justified their use of force. A review of the incident stated that Garnett ignored verbal commands to stop resisting and no serious physical injury was sustained by the former coach. You can get more on that story at DarienTimes.com. And the shortest member of the New Canaan Police Department, Apollo the Canine, needs help from the community to raise $100,000 for a second police dog, additional training, and a new vehicle with state-of-the-art equipment. The canine program is funded solely by private donations, so Apollo's handler, Officer David Rivera, set up a GoFundMe page where donations can be made. The new canine will likely be a Labrador trained in narcotics detection. Before the new dog can hit the road, it must first be purchased, assigned to a handler, and then trained. According to Rivera, this costs a lot of money. He also said there is a need for a second dog because there's a gap when he and Apollo are off duty. The second dog would be there to pick up the slack when Apollo is off duty and assist with narcotics incidents when Apollo is on duty too. All right, well, we're going to quickly throw it back to Rob Adams for another look at today's weather. Rob?
All right, Kate, we've got a sunny day, a high near 48 with a northeast wind 6 to 8, becoming southeast in the afternoon. Areas of fog and drizzle after 10 tonight. Cloudy, with a low around 40. That continues into Thursday, mainly before 8 in the morning, then rain mainly after 11. High near 54. We look to Thursday night, it's more of the same. Clouds, rain, most of it before midnight, low 46, and a lot of it on the way, probably an inch before it's all said and done. Friday, chance of rain mainly before 3 in the afternoon, mostly cloudy, high 51. Partly cloudy and a low of 31 for Friday night. Saturday is sunny with a high near 40. Sunday, sunny and a high near 43. Around the region, we have Shelton at 47, Darien at 49, and Wilton at 49 degrees, Kate.
All right, thanks so much, Rob. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to be talking transportation with Jim Cameron. That's coming up on your coffee break after this.
It's time to come back to hometown banking, where people are taken into account, not just balances, where community comes first, a place where there's more than one kind of interest, where automation will never replace consideration, where they not only know your name, they know your dog's name too. It's time to expect more. It's time to bank well. Bank smart. Bank local. Bank well.
In Pound Ridge since 1993, the Wine Connection is one of America's best wine shops. Visit our beautiful store for the greatest in wine and knowledgeable service. With wonderful values from around the world to collectibles for your cellar, we are your one-stop source. Visit our online shop at wineconn.com and make sure to sign up for email updates. With great offers, new arrivals, and special events, don't miss all the action at The Wine Connection, including tastings every weekend. The Wine Connection, located at 32 Westchester Avenue, Pound Ridge, New York.
While there's still a bite out on the water, most anglers have decided to stow the gear for the winter. Just because Mother Nature isn't cooperating doesn't mean you can't see the latest models of all your favorite gear. With 2 convenient locations, it couldn't be easier to get your fix of summer. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, or on the web, docshop.com.
Find over 1,000 special stories at Hospital for Special Surgery. Go to hss.edu/backinthe-game.
I was jogging 5 months after my cartilage tear.
Skiing a year after hip surgery.
And playing grandma 4 weeks after hip replacement.
One special hospital, 1,000 special stories. See Connecticut patients at hss.edu/CT.
I'm John Kovach. I'm a newspaper editor. I'm a high school football coach. I'm a television presenter. And I want you to love fishing as much as I do. Tune into Yankee Fisherman, Thursdays at 1 on the HAN network. It's like going to the tackle shop without leaving your office.
You know, when you think about it, transportation's about more than just getting from point A to point B. I'm Jim Cameron for Talking Transportation, commentary and analysis on getting around in Connecticut. This podcast is often a rant about commuter rail service or the occasional rave for overdue investment in our highways. But I've been doing some thinking about transportation in the larger scheme of things and how it really affects many aspects of our lives. Take, for example, jobs. If it wasn't for transportation, 99% of us wouldn't be able to get to the jobs that we have. It's thanks to Metro North and, yes, even I-95 that we can live in one place and work in another. Imagine how your life would change if you could only live within walking distance of where you work. Which brings us to the issue of affordable housing. The daily grind of bumper-to-bumper commutes on I-95 and the Merritt Parkway is not because people are masochists. It's only because they can't afford to live where they work. A recent report showed that housing in Lower Fairfield County is the most expensive in the nation. You need an income of $70,000 a year just to afford a two-bedroom apartment in the Stanford-Norwalk corridor. A recent conference sponsored by the Southwest Regional Planning Agency held some startling examples in that poster boy of affluence, the city of Greenwich. This 67-square-mile city has 61,000 in population and over 5,500 town employees, teachers, cops, firefighters, and the like. However, 2/3 of those town workers don't live in Greenwich. They have to commute daily from Danbury, Bridgeport, Westchester, and even Long Island. Those town workers in Greenwich spend an average of 103 minutes per day just getting to and from work, and that means they pay almost $1,500 a year for gasoline. Combined, they add 15,000 tons of carbon dioxide to the atmosphere just by their commuting. In a city like Greenwich, where the median home price is $2 million, the average Greenwich city worker makes $65,000. And because these teachers, civil servants, and such have to come so far to their jobs, they have to be paid more. The average teacher in Greenwich earns $12,000 a year more than their counterparts elsewhere in the state. The Greenwich schools have to spend $10,000 to $15,000 recruiting and training each new teacher. But after 5 years of commuting, and remember, 75% of those teachers don't live in Greenwich. After 5 years of commuting, they burn out. They leave and find jobs elsewhere. Between 1998 and 2007, 581 teachers left the Greenwich school system for reasons other than retirement, and 81% of them had less than 8 years on the job. EMS workers in Greenwich have it even worse. They average 151 minutes, that's 2.5 hours commuting time. Just how fresh and ready for life-saving work do you think they are after a commute like that? Finally, there's the issue of what we call food justice. The east end of Bridgeport, our state's biggest city, is a food desert. For 35 years, there has been no supermarket, forcing residents, a third of whom have no cars, to spend 45 minutes taking 2 different buses just to go to the grocery store. A lack of transportation has meant fewer nutritional choices and increased risk of obesity and diabetes. Our governor is right. Investing in transportation means more than just saving time on our daily commute. Quality transportation means better access to jobs, to housing, and to food. Jim Cameron for Talking Transportation.
Thanks, as always, to Jim Cameron for his insights. But that's going to do it for this Wednesday edition of your Coffee Break. If you missed any of the show, it will be up on our site, live.han.network. Of course, coming up at 2 o'clock, Nutmeg Sports, and Coffee Break will be back tomorrow at 11. Have a great Wednesday, everyone.